How many conversations have you had either with your partner or a friend and it really didn't end the way you had anticipated? Why? So today I'm going to share with you the 3 steps on how to effectively communicate. Let's get into it. Hey there, I'm Caterina Smillie from Empowering People, where our mission is to guide and support people so they can become the best version of self and also live the life that they choose. Let's dive into it. So effective communication. Did you know that there are 2 styles? There's the style which is the analytical and the style which is emotional. What does that actually mean? So the analytical are the ones that you have with a work colleague where they're all about speaking from the mind. It's about facts and data and figures. You know, it's what you know or think. It's not about generally what you feel. And this is definitely used more in your professional career. The second, which is the emotional. And that's all about speaking from your heart, all about the feelings of what you're feeling and, you know, the connection that you have. So generally, these are the style of conversations that you have with either your partner, a friend, a family member, your children. And it really is an intimate conversation and generally more about how you feel. So let's get into the steps. So step 1 is planning. It's so important that you plan an important conversation. If it is something that is really important to you, then we definitely need to plan it. So a way to really make sure that you don't go off topic is to write down in bullet point forms the certain things you want to cover in that conversation. Make sure that your emotional state and the listener's emotional state is right. So maybe on a weekend might be a good day to actually plan that conversation. Decide whether it's going to be an analytical or an emotional one. It's really important to know where you're going with this conversation. Also, plan the words that you're going to use. Certain words might trigger a negative reaction of the listener. So it's really important that if it is something that you're sharing with a partner, that you start off with I feel, not you did. I hope that's a really massive one. And if you can shift that in a conversation, you'll be surprised at the results and the outcome that you get. All of a sudden, you're able to really share how you're feeling and the listener is no longer feeling attacked. So they're not going to interrupt and butt in. Also, just make sure that you really are, I want to reiterate this, is that your emotional state is balanced, that you're not saying it in a moment of reaction to an event or something that's happened. You both got to be really balanced because then you're both able to be present. So planning is number 1. Number 2 is setting the scene. Is there a theme? So it's about scheduling that important conversation. When is it going to take place? Self-check your emotional thing and make sure that there's no distractions. So setting the scene could be, if you have children, that it needs to be done once the kids are in bed and maybe in your bedroom where it's a place of calm. Sometimes we do it in the public space or the open space or the communal space of a home where it's not as intimate. There's not the opportunity where you can both sit across from one another and look into each other's eyes when you're having that conversation. It's really important that you know that and you create that space to be 100% present with each other. So that's really something that's an important factor in regards to setting the scene. So number 3 is your delivery. Wow, there's so much about the delivery that we could cover, and I'm really just going to give you bullet point forms, and it's so important that you do really consider all of these particular things. So be sure that you're approachable. Be sure that you're open, and when you speak, it's not from an attacking perspective. Be aware of your tonality. Sometimes we can get quite abrupt in our language and we wonder why the listener is perceiving it as if we're angry. So really be mindful of your tone. As you can hear, mine's very calm, and I can really bring you in by softening my tone and saying, you know what, I feel a certain way doing this video. And you can really hear, and I hope that you connected with my heart in that moment, that, you know what, yeah, she's calm and she's just wanting to be heard. So have the skills and be aware of all the non-verbal communication from your listener. Eye contact, body language, facial expressions. You are the speaker after all. It's up to you to really be aware of what's going on in your audience, which is, of course, your listener. Read their body language and adjust to it. If you're just on a tangent and you're doing this and you can see they're rolling their eyes, then clearly they've shut off. They're no longer hearing you. So sometimes we need to stop and just say, is there anything going on? However, make sure that if they share that, just say, okay, because I was reading your body language and something has upset you or impacted you. So it's important to read your listener. So rather than just keep waffling on and they're not listening. So it's a pointless conversation. And it could be that just something that you've said, they felt attacked and so they've shut down. So it's really important that you are aware of their reactions and their body language. Make sure, it's up to you to make sure that you hold your audience or your listener. Make sure that they're 100% present. If you've lost them, find out why. Don't just keep going, because you're going to get then frustrated because you can feel their energy. And guess what? Your tonality will automatically change and you're going to go off topic because already your emotional state is no longer balanced. You've got, I'm going to use the word frustrated. So at the end of your delivery and you've shared what you've had to share, ask your listener how they perceived what you shared with them. The reason for this is to make sure that they have absolutely really perceived what you've shared the way you intended it. Rather than walk away and they've gone off and heard it one way and you've actually meant it another. Because that is not effective communication. So just ask them to share. What did they hear you say? It takes 2 seconds to ask that. And then at least at the end of this conversation, you can walk away and really feel heard. And that's a wonderful feeling. So of course, the next video in play to this is respectful listening. It's so important that your listener is respectfully listening to you. However, it is part of you as the speaker to make sure that that is also happening. So for today, take care, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye-bye.